It's a road trip with Britney Spears in 2002, but it's coming to Netflix. So will Crossroads find a whole new audience?
I had this crazy idea that we should review Crossroads because it's never streamed before. It has been available for rental. It had a brief little couple of night redo in theaters when Britney's memoir came out in October. But this is going to be on Netflix starting on Thursday the 15th. So if you want to see it, it's an interesting little time capsule. You got to subscribe because we do throwback reviews like this quite often. We definitely do them for our channel members. If you want to click that join button below and see what membership brings you, we definitely do them there. We do them on our Patreon. Every month we do an off the menu review where our subscribers get to pick what we review. And then a lot of folks have done table for one reviews with us where it's just a one-on-one and they get to pick what they want to review with us. So there's lots of opportunities to hang out with us and talk about the cinema of the year 2002.
Britney Spears, Anson Mount, Zoe Saldaña, Taryn Manning.
So Britney Spears is a young woman named Lucy. She is graduating from high school in small town Georgia. Her best friends are Mimi, played by Taryn Manning, and Kit, played by Zoe Saldaña. They were best friends when they were little girls. Yes. Now that they're graduating from high school, they have drifted apart. But nostalgia draws them back to unearth this time capsule that they had buried in the ground of all their favorite things when they were little girls and promised they'd be friends forever.
And their dreams of the future.
Their dreams of the future. So graduation night, they go back and they revisit it. Lucy is the valedictorian, a very sweet, shy girl, and her father, played by Dan Aykroyd. We'll get into that in a second. The choice of casting for her parents is bizarre. He wants her to be a doctor. She can't think for herself, doesn't really know any different. Zoe Saldaña is like the queen bee, bitchy, mean girl. And Taryn Manning is pregnant and lives in a trailer, but has dreams of singing and going off to LA to audition to be a singer. So they realize looking at this box, like, oh, why did we ever drift apart? Let's go on this road trip together, whatever. Hunky Anson Mount, with the hunky name of Anson Mount,
he's a Star Trek guy now. Do you not know this?
Yeah.
And he's got beautiful hair, but he's got like this weird buzz cut in this movie.
Like silver hair, right? Mm. So he
recognized game.
Yeah, he's a singer in this rock band at their graduation. He agrees to drive them out to LA because it's a road trip movie and he has a convertible and 2-lane roads to travel.
A 1973 Buick Skylark.
Yes, it hits all of your road trip cliches. So this is a movie that was Britney Spears. It's supposed to be, her big ticket to stardom beyond the pop world. She's really peak Britney at this point because, it's 2002. She's got all these hits. She is adored. She is dating Justin Timberlake. And this is supposed to make her a star, but it got kind of savage. I mean, I think looking now, it's at like 15% on the tomato meter. And I'm among the people who trashed it, and I feel like at that point I was new in my career. I've only been doing this for a few years. And I think I was still interested in like entertaining myself and being pleased with myself for being snarky. Whereas now I feel like I have a little more perspective after doing this for 25 years or so. This movie's not terrible. We were just talking about Madam Web and how it's not terrible. And if it came on TV, like you'd watch it and it'd be comforting. It's a lot of road trip cliches, but it's also an interesting little time capsule of sweet, wholesome Britney. It made me very sad to watch this because she's so cute and so sunny, and she's not good in this. She's awkward, she's stiff, but she comes alive when she's singing.
I'm going to disagree with you on this.
Please do. Okay.
I think she has a real naturalness in front of the camera. And I'm not necessarily saying that you see her in Crossroads, you think, yes, I want to see her Medea or, Lady Macbeth. But I think she has she feels very comfortable in front of the camera. And I think she has a real appeal on camera. And, like in the last couple of years, we had that, her audition tape for The Notebook that kind of went viral. And I can see a universe where she like becomes, maybe not like, again, she's not going to be Meryl Streep, but I could see her becoming like, I'll tell you what, I could totally see her having become like a Hallmark actress, like her fellow Mickey Mouse Club alum, Nikki DeLoach. Like, I think she has a real appeal on camera. And I think, yeah, it was very easy to be gunning for her in 2002
Mhm.
because she was so massively popular. And this is such a vehicle for her, no pun intended. But, yeah, the movie itself is not great, but I don't know that she's the problem with it.
No, she is not. And we have to mention that, like, Shonda Rhimes wrote this.
She did.
She
did. Yeah, right before working on Princess Diaries 2. And she was basically working from a bunch of ideas that Britney Spears kind of tossed her way. And then she sort of had to like fuse them all into a script. And so, yeah, you wind up with one of those road trip movies where no one's ever on an expressway. It's always these really charming, like, byways and, side roads and, little gas stations and cacti and stuff.
Retro motels.
Yes, totally. But it is what it is. Speaking as somebody who loves Spice World and understands why Spice World is not a good movie, if you're like a big Britney person, I get why this is a movie you would go back to just to sort of see her be and eventually sing. So yeah, I don't want to play it up too much, but it's like it's not the disaster that I think we all decided it was at the time.
It's not, but it's so funny that she's meant to be like this sweet, shy girl, very studious girl. But like the first time you see her, she's dancing in her underwear in her bedroom, singing along to a Madonna song. So you never forget that you're watching Britney Spears, and that's probably part of the point. They don't want her to subsume herself to the character. Like it's like an Elvis movie, right? Elvis is going to get up and sing. You would be bummed if you watched an Elvis movie and he didn't get up and sing. And that's what happens here with her. She's supposed to be in this karaoke contest. They have to, it's all convoluted. They got to get money to fix the car. So they do the karaoke contest in the French Quarter in New Orleans. And she's all tentative at first. And then like in no time, she's like, he was with me. Yeah, me. And, and the little, it's like hugging her hips, little bitty jeans and things like no valedictorian.
Her hair is suddenly crimped.
Right. No valedictorian has time to do that many crunches. But she's Britney Spears. Again, it's like you want that from her. And yet we made fun of her for doing that.
To us. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because when they first introduced the character and it's like, oh, she's a valedictorian and she missed out on all the parties, everything. And I thought, this is the setup to Booksmart. Like you're giving me Britney Spears in Booksmart, which is a stretch a bit, I think a little bit. But like Justin Long is her sort of like nerdy lab partner and they're going to like lose their virginity to each other prom night. And then she has second thoughts and Justin Long's got a tight little system, but, she's waiting for much taller Anson Mount to come along. And I guess I can understand that.
We got to talk about the casting of Kim Cattrall as her mom, because it makes total sense because she looks so much like her. When Kim Cattrall opens the door for her, it's like, oh, wow, that's good. But like, in what universe did Kim Cattrall and Dan Aykroyd get together and make Britney Spears?
Well, yeah.
Or get together at all.
I think Britney Spears came out of the side of Kim Cattrall's head like Zeus giving birth to Athena or whatever.
Formed.
Yeah. There's no Dan Aykroyd DNA in that child. Yeah, so it's goofy. Personally speaking, I did love when the big final scene where they're getting in the cab and out of the cab. That's happening right by where I was working at the time.
How funny!
They're right. There's the Hollywood Roosevelt, which is where all but on the other side of the street is 6922 Hollywood Boulevard, which is where the Advocate was when I worked there in the 2000s. In fact, you can, in the back of a shot, you can see the garage where I parked every day. So that just gave me sudden nostalgia because that building looks totally different now. If you want to see what the front of that building looked like at that time, go watch the beginning of Myra Breckenridge, where Rex Reed and Raquel Welch come dancing out, because now it's totally different. And there was a Hooters. I don't know if it's still there, but anyway, they totally changed the front of that building. But so I had a little LA moment from that.
I had a lot of LA moments too. At one point, Kit and Mimi are in the convertible, and Mimi says, okay, so we're on Melrose, and they're on Melrose.
It's true, but they're driving in the wrong direction if they're going toward UCLA. But
no, but they're staying in Malibu.
Oh, that's true.
But
yes.
He lives in the Hollywood Hills. Right? That makes, why would he live in the Hollywood Hills if he goes to UCLA? That's a question I have. How can they afford the hotel right on the water in Malibu?
That's a big one. And then also this movie does the thing of like, well, there's no other character left. So like when you find out that The reason that Taryn Manning's character got pregnant, it wasn't the guy she was dating. It was some gross guy who date raped her at a party. It's like, there's no other man left in this movie except, oh no. And then, that's when you find out how it all went down.
But the reveal with the beer bottle, though, I thought was very clever. Like, ooh, he's got a blue beer bottle. Like, we mentioned that earlier. Yeah, they do talk about a lot of, heavy stuff in what is supposed to be a lighthearted road trip movie, like date rape and teenage pregnancy. And
body issues. Like, Zoe Saldaña talks about getting sent to fat camp. But then, like, the worst thing that happened was when she her mother was mad at her for being fat, but then her mother was mad at her for looking better than her. Her mother, played by Beverly Johnson in a quick appearance, the legendary model. There are some ideas here. It's not just sort of froth. I think with time and with all the Britney of the last couple of decades, it kind of occupies a different space in the culture now. And I think people can approach this movie in a way that we couldn't in 2002, because it was part of this sort of marketing machine that we were all being subjected to. But now we can sort of look at it in its own different context.
Oh, for sure. It came out on February 15th, 2002.
Oh, wow.
And Justin Timberlake went with her to the premiere. Mm-hmm. They play an NSYNC song in the car and they all sing along, because that's a cutesy thing. They break up a month later.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's a little time capsule there for everyone. And just knowing the troubles that she has been through over the last several years, it makes me really sad to look back and think, oh gosh, like, look at all that hope. Like, look what the industry did to her. Look what time did. And
it's like watching Whitney Houston in The Bodyguard. We were like, oh... Yeah, no, for sure. But you know what? Britney's still here, and she still has new peaks to conquer. The other thing in this movie that's kind of hilarious is that, in the car when they're singing to NSYNC, it's part of this ongoing fight with Anson Mount about who gets to control the radio, and all he is listening to is these sort of early 2000s like songs, which I was like, oh my god, this car is TRL. This is the fight every day. Are we going to listen to boy bands, or are we going to listen to like these, crunchy new metal guys? And of course, he's Mr. New Metal, but the second he sits down to write a song based on Britney's lyrics, it's I'm not a girl, yet not a woman. It's like, okay, where did that ballad come from?
That's who he really is inside. He's the sensitive guy inside. Yeah, that scene is still pretty laughable when she's like reciting the song lyrics by the campfire. That's still pretty bad.
It is next to impossible to do a scene in a movie where you are writing a song that already exists. Like if you were doing a Beatles biopic and they're going like, she loves you. Yeah. Like it's just, you can't, it's almost impossible to do it.
Do we want to give numbers to Crossroads?
Oh, I'd rather not. Okay. But I will say this. If you saw it in 2002 and rolled your eyes at it, give it another shot. The nostalgia of it alone will make the view worth watching. And you may find that there's more than this to this movie than maybe you wanted to give it credit for at the time. I know.
Let's not leave Britney alone in this regard.
Give Britney another shot.